Hello, my name is Cassandra Farley, and today I'm going to be talking about eventing. Eventing is best described as an equestrian triathlon comprising of 3 phases. The sport tests a rider's skill more completely than any other, at least in my opinion. The first phase is dressage. It shows the horses and riders' ability to perform a series of prescribed classical movements on the flat and in an enclosed arena. Dressage is very important to the 3-day event horse as it helps to develop the muscular strength and suppleness needed in the other 2 phases of competition. The purpose of dressage is to demonstrate the level of communication between the horse and rider. Ideally, the horse appears to perform the test on its own accord, working in harmony with its rider. Each movement in the dressage test is given a score between 1 and 10. In addition, there are 4 collective marks: gaits, impulsion, submission, and rider, which are scored the same way. So it's from 0 to 10, 0 not performed, to 10 excellent. The second phase is cross country and is probably my favorite phase as it is pretty exciting to watch. It involves the horse and rider galloping over terrain, jumping a variety of fixed objects along the way. The purpose of the test is to prove the speed, endurance, and jumping ability of the horse over a varied terrain and obstacles. In order to accomplish this task, the horse and rider must be in peak condition. Penalty points on cross country are accumulated through faults, such as refusals, runouts, and circles, and time faults. A fall of a rider results in elimination. The final phase is show jumping. Show jumping course comprises of a series of colored fences, usually made up of lightweight rails that are easily knocked down. The test takes place in an enclosed ring, and the course must be negotiated in order for the horse and rider to successfully complete the event. The final phase tests the stamina and recovery of the horse after the endurance phase and shows that it is fit enough to continue to work. Similar to the cross-country phase, show jumping penalties are accrued throughout faults. Horseback riding is about taking the human intellect to harness the athletic abilities of a horse to create an even more powerful being. You must make both the rider and horse greater than they could be on their own. In order to accomplish this, the human becomes the behavior and physical trainer. So let's consider what are the added challenges of eventing. So eventing is one of the few equestrian sports that really demonstrates a wide range of the horse's natural abilities. An eventing horse is generally well-rounded and must be extremely talented mentally and physically to perform at the upper levels. A horse and rider combination must practice all 3 phases and must be efficient in doing so because there's only so many hours you can spend in the saddle, and you want to preserve your horse. Additionally, equipment involved with the sport is expensive and extensive. Horses and riders need to have specific tack for each of the 3 phases. For example, during the cross-country phase and the show jumping phase, horses will need boots to protect his or her legs during cantering, galloping, and jumping fences. Is eventing natural for the horse? Obviously, it's not completely natural for a horse to perform in an arena and jump brightly colored obstacles or negotiate a coffin jump on cross-country, but eventing does build upon what the horse already is built to do. In the dressage phase, we ask the horse to perform at the walk, trot, and canter, which are natural gaits. In cross-country, we ask the horse to gallop at high speeds, which they are built to do in the wild to get away from prey. This utilizes their flight tendency. In the wild, they must negotiate natural obstacles just like on cross-country. The most importantly, we must recognize how we as riders are taking this animal out of their element, and that is something that has definitely been highlighted in this course and something that I have learned. In many ways, eventing challenges a horse's instincts, behaviors, and senses. Horses spend most of their time grazing and obtaining as many calories as possible. Asking a horse to work out and become more physically fit goes against a horse's natural instincts. In the wild, they work to conserve these calories in case of a drought or food shortage. In addition, horses are herd animals and feel safer in the presence of other horses. Making them perform in an arena or out on cross-country without any other horse can make them go against how they live in the wild, and the rider must instill confidence and a sense of trust. The vision of a horse is complicated and one of its weakest senses. Horses are not colorblind, but they do have diachromatic vision. In many cases, the horse must rely on the rider to going in and out of the woods and understanding certain shadows based on the direction of the sun, especially during cross country. In the sport of eventing, we place horses in situations that are more physically demanding than those found in the wild. Horses are built for short sprints, and we are asking them to practice over long periods of time and even compete for an entire weekend. In addition, eventing is demanding for a horse's movements. Correct conformation is essential. So a correct horse would be one that fits in a box, and they would have a body made up of 1/3 shoulder, 1/3 back, 1/3 hind quarter. The horse's stance from one point of the shoulder to the buttock should equal the distance from the height of the withers to the ground. Correct conformation will ensure soundness and longevity. After all, event horses clock many hours in the saddle, especially during a competition, and if the conformation is incorrect and prevents fluid movement, they may have a hard time staying sound. The strong end of a horse is their hindquarters, yet the horse balances most of its weight on the front of its body. When we add a rider, roughly 80 to 100% of his or her weight falls onto the horse's delicate front end. The goal of correct riding is to have the horses balanced on its hind end because that's where the power comes from. Dressage tests challenge the horse to stay off their front end and balance on their hind end, and the jumping phases need a strong hind end to take off over fences. Like I was saying before, eventing is an extremely demanding sport for the horse and rider, especially when there's a long weekend or long day competition. It requires strength and fitness over a long period of time. Dressage is a true test of the understanding between the horse and rider in proper training. In this portion of the competition, the rider must rely on the horse's obedience and understanding. The cross-country portion is a stark contrast to the previous day's dressage competition. While dressage requires focus, grace, the cross-country test requires boldness, courage, and stamina. So you really need a well-rounded horse. And then there's a lot at stake in the show jumping competition, and horses have just endured a tough cross-country test and must now have the strength and precision to clear jumps. So eventing, you need to be very well-rounded as a horse and rider and a pair. So eventing riders and horses are remarkable, and that is why I chose eventing. Thank you.